afternoon to everyone, and welcome in our 36th session of integration with the Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. Uh, I have with me Umesh and Dhruv, who is going to help me in this session. I'll quickly walk you through about a couple of things about today's session, our group introductions, today's session, and announcement for upcoming sessions. Please note whatever speakers are going to present here, they are their own personal experience and feedback, and they doesn't represent anything from Microsoft or their employment. All those demos which we are going showing, most probably they will be from demo database or test lab environments. Any recommendations coming out of those sessions, please do not try them directly on the production environment. Do it on the dev or test environment before. All of our sessions are recorded and uploaded on our different social media channels. So if you do not consent, please leave the session now. Yeah, this is our group introduction slide, guys. So when I see the slides, it's very really inspiring. So we started quite recently in this area, and we are nearly 3,000 of member globally. So primary purpose of this group, this community group is to connect, learn, and grow together. And the core team member, we have Rachit, Umesh, Satya, and myself. Rachit, Umesh, and Satya joining us from Australia, while I'm currently in the UK. Please save those QR codes, where you can join us on the different social media platform. So that will be handy, and we upload those recordings on our YouTube channel as well. If you go to our YouTube channels, you will see what sessions we delivered quite recently, and you can always go there and refer them for your learning those specific topics. So our today's session speaker is Dhruv Kumar, a seasoned professional with over 8 years of experience in tech industry. He is Microsoft certified professional specializing in Dynamics 365 finance and operations, have worked extensively on integrations with F&O and various applications. He is demonstrating a deep understanding of complexity involved in such process. Based in India, he has been active participate in technical communities, sharing knowledge and insight and contributing to the growth of the tech ecosystem. Please join me in welcoming our speaker, and we look forward to an enlightening session with valuable insight and again engaging with each of you. We are working on next sessions, so please subscribe our channels, our LinkedIn, YouTube channel. We have presence on community user group as well. And also keep dropping us your notes, comments on which topic you would like to us cover in upcoming sessions. So thank you so much. And now I'll hand over the stage to Dhruv. So Dhruv, stage is yours, mate.
Thank you so much, Deepak, for the wonderful introduction. So, guys, I'll be sharing my screen. So, hi everyone again. So today's agenda is to look for. Sorry. Yeah. So today's agenda for today, like integrations and D365 FNO, and then we'll talk about the electronic reporting basics, electronic messages, what is it, and how we can configure it for the demo, and the same goes to the ER configuration demo and the test cases. So moving forward, the first question. So myself, as you know that Deepak introduced me. So myself, Dhruv Kumar Khatri, and I'm into Dynamics from last 8 years and counting. You can reach me on my email, and this is my LinkedIn link, my ID. Integrations in D365 FNO. So we have multiple patterns available. We have Power Platform integrations, OData, Batch API, data management package, then custom service, consume external web services, Excel integration, and electronic reporting. So we would have seen most of these numbers like Power Platform, OData, Batch API, and those custom integration to consume or to expose it, as well as the Excel add-ins that we can import the data using Excel. So this has been integrated. When we talk about electronic reporting, so this is much of a complex at the very same. It is quite easy to understand. We just need to focus a bit on that. That how does it work as per the architecture? As per the basics, it is quite useful. So what is electronic reporting? Electronic reporting also earlier it is called as GER, that is Global Electronic Reporting. Now it's ER. So ER is a tool configure electronic document formats in accordance with the legal requirements of various countries and regions. So Engine supports multiple country specific electronic documents. So one of the examples I would tell you that these are the Microsoft solution out of the box available, like e-invoice, electronic invoice for India, for Italy, and for KSA for Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Norway. There are multiple countries which are available. Let's say that for the UK, there is MTD, Making Tax Digital, also available on the same electronic reporting and electronic messages framework. So it has salient features. It has a good uh, tool for the producing text, XML, and OpenXML worksheet formats. So multiple formats you can work on that. So there is no thing that you cannot work on. Most of the formats which are available to integrate with, or you wanted to have some reporting, that is available. So it is designed for business user familiar Excel-based formulas. So as the Microsoft says, the no code, low code policy. So this tool has been introduced back then. Mostly, this tool has the functional aspects that functional can work on this as the same Excel based formulas, but you need to have a little bit of experience in technical side to understand that what is table and what are the fields and what are the data types. This sort of basic uh, help would give you assistance in order to pursue further on this electronic reporting tool. So it is easy there to changes in regular requirements. Versioning is the most powerful thing and beautiful uh, architecture of electronic reporting that you can definitely create and your own. For example, you have created one solution and you have delivered it. Let's say that it was in text format. Now, your client or as per the new requirement, same sort of it, but in addition to that, you wanted to have JSON, you can do it. In addition to that, you wanted a PDF, you can do it. In addition to that, you can have Excel, Word format, and so on. So you can do it without creating the whole structure. Just modify it and derive it, and you'll be able to produce the same sort of documentation, or let's say the integration sort of that. Architecture of electronic reporting is quite simple. So most of things that we have heard of SSRS reporting, the similar way it work like that. So we have a database, we have a data model, and we have a format. So first of all, that what we create is the model. The model is basically the same as the temporary table, where we are just creating the fields what we require to get the data from database. Then followed by that model mapping, which is again the database connecting with each other. And similar way, when we binded it and the format, the output document, likewise, I said that it can be a text, it can be JSON format, Word format, or Excel, totally depending upon the requirement that we wanted to. So now the flow. So basically, it works in the two way, as in the integration, request and response. To get the response, we need to send some requests, right? Thus, in order to get the response, we need to have some data in it. So outbound and inbound data. So the architecture of outgoing flow is similar that application data. That let's say that we have our AX here or D365, and they're having a database. So the similar way the design would give you exposure to the tables, and the table you will be adding it. There are multiple things available out of the box which you can add as per the table. Let's say the customer table, customer transactions, vendor transactions. You can simply go into the application UI, right click on that, and there is the form name. Just you need to click on that and you'll be able to see this, the table and the field name. I'll show you when we start the demo on that. So coming back to the outbound flow. So from the application, model mapping, pulling and transformation is happening here. So that means that when you uh, pull the data from the table, you can also transform within multiple things. So it can be text. Let's say that you are pulling the enumeration. At the very same time, you can convert into text. You are fetching the date, but you want, but the date format is not supported, but there is the string, which is the flat text field, free text field. You can also convert it. Number format, you can also convert it to text. So anything can be happen, but you need to have the logical thing here. So transformation, and also it will be binding to the data model and the format. Again, the format, making outputs and the documentations. So similar way, it can be a purchase order document print. It can be the purchase register as per the MIS report. Anything can be done from there. Similar way, the inbound flow. So let's say that now we are talking about any of the EDI integrations that we wanted to have the data from some point. So some application is sending us the data and we wanted to import it. So similar way, we have to design it. So now this flow, in the previous one, we are extracting the outputs, and this one we are importing the same. We are consuming it. So similar way, we had to design it. The moment we import into a system, the first thing it checks the validation. There are two types of validation here. The first of all, the format, the nested data basically. So once it's tested with that through with that nested data, it's fine. Then second, it checks that whether the data type is correct or not as per the given format. Secondly, when it's fine with that and say that two of the validation through with that and followed by the model mapping. So the format mapping binded with the model, and the model process your data to destination. Now, two types of data travel here is, one is destination to import. Second is model. Model means export. So when you see anything in the electronic reporting says the model, that means it is in export format. When that means you are exporting it, the outbound data. When you see any destination underneath of that, that means you are importing it. Now coming back to the other thing, which is the framework what Microsoft has created. It is electronic message framework. Now, what is electronic message framework? The first question comes into our mind, that what is messages, by the way? Why the first that electronic reporting, then electronic messages, why it is connected? See, first of all, it has been internally integrated. That means that it is sort of a framework that channelize or travel the data using your formats to send and receive. The similar way it will help you. It is the second sub layer of your electronic reporting, whatever the solution we make. It is also useful to protect our data from the data compliance. We can also apply securities. There can be some, let's say that we have a team of accountant, and that the data is crucial to share with anybody, right? So we can apply the securities, and whosoever we wanted to show the data, we can show it as per the security, as per the rule. So basic concept of electronic messages, that a report or a declaration should be reported, transmitted internally, as I just mentioned, that it is internally connected with electronic reporting. So the moment we have prepared our solution, we can attach to it, and it can be sent to tax office, or such as configuration can be done. So it has major three parts. One is electronic message itself, second is the item, and third is the electronic message processing. The item basically is nothing but the sub part of electronic message. So it works like that, that when we configure it, you will see further to it on
So,
the screen. Yeah.
Dhruv, sorry, I think accidentally you was removed from presentation. Can you do it again, please? Share your screen again. Sorry about that.
Is it visible?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. So EM functionality I was talking about, that there might be chances that when the data is getting traveled using the electronic reporting and upper layer of electronic message functionality, that will see some errors, and we can also see those errors as an attachment, and we can also see the processing as in the successful as an attachment. So but there is no visible setups for that. The ER, that means the electronic reporting, and the electronic messages are internally connected to document management. So there is a table called docu value. So from there you can track it down, but it is not visible from the front end. But you can go from the sysstable browser or from the database, you can check. And the class basically who's taking care of all this mechanism is docu action value. So that is also can be checked to creating and to expose to and to importing uh, or let's say the exporting the documentation from the attachment. So that is one of the very useful case for integration, let's say. So the architecture works like this, that it connects with the DB of D365 and it pulls the data as per the electronic reporting, the transformation we just spoke of, as in export or import. The similar way, the engine of EM that we have designed to, so there are actions. So it runs on the action types. So there are multiple actions. There can be create new message. There can be populate records. Populate records is basically, let's say that I have a test case that I wanted to only fetch those purchase order which are confirmed. So it will fetch all of those confirmation purchase order basically. So we can create a query within that, and based on that, it will populate all of those records available in the system which are confirmed. And there can be ranges that you wanted to not to do. Let's say the same example that I wanted to populate all the purchase confirmations, but not invoiced, right? Or let's say there can be workflow which is approved and not confirmed, sorry, confirmed but not approved. So there can be slightly chances. Similar with the second action that evaluate additional attribution. So the additional values that you wanted to send, let's say that we have additional parameters, or there can be request header that we wanted to see, that can also be sent additional values which has to be traveled. That is a static value, so that we can save directly from there, not to hard code, because as a developer, if you hard code something, that can be driven falsely. So we have to have saved the value somewhere so that you can remove it, and you can't be dependent on the backend. So for that only. And generate message. So for the generate message to export the GER, which is again the global electronic reporting earlier name, to configure it. So in this case, we have to have the electronic message format in there. Then send messages to send the request through the web services. We can use the API, and we can same as the Postman. So the key is to have a Postman earlier, that you wanted to check the configured Postman, and later on design the same way. So we have a web service settings underneath of electronic messages setup, that we can do it, and using upon the action send message, that means the web service, we can do it. Then we have import response, which is basically nothing but to import from the response set, that whatever the response is coming from, that means the consuming the other party sharing. So that's one thing. The last is the manual processing. That means that if the user wants to have manual thing, that there is a button called run processing. If they don't want to do it automatically or from the batch job, you can do it using manually. So you can click on that the new button or anything, then that can also be done. Then the electronic message takes things into the whole architecture, like the enhance and send or receive automatically. There are messages layer by layer. So similar way it will work like that. And authority DB and comes and goes with the response and request. So you can also configure with SharePoint. You can also configure with Azure Blob Storage, and you can also configure with the SaaS token of Blob Storage. That is all out of the box. Just a sec. Oh, so sorry. Yeah. So now coming back to the API configurations. So I have chosen the abstract, one of the abstract free API for the email validation. So the test case is, let's say that I have one portal that where that I wanted to, that my email ID has been registered. What if the database is big and we wanted to see that the data is legitimate and it's working fine with the deliverable or not. So email is being sent to that particular email ID or not, it is working or not. So same email validation, I've chosen it. So I'll share the link in the end in this PPT that how did I do it, this API and whole process. I'm just going to showcase on the demo side. The screen basically looks like this. So we'll go to the screen. So as you can see that this is the screen, basically two ways to go to electronic reporting. One is from the organization administration. The organization administration has the workspace of electronic reporting. Second way from the electronic reporting menu, and there are the sub menu items. You can see configurations and all. When you go to electronic reporting, the first thing we have to do is the configuration provider. The configuration provider is nothing but let's say that our extension to have a similar way the model that we configure in our Visual Studio in order to do our own work, not on the standard, because standard doesn't allow. Similar way, it is the same methodology here that Microsoft doesn't allow to do the extensions. So in the backend, we call it extension. In electronic reporting language terminology, it is called derive. So we create our own uh, configuration provider here. So if you just scroll to down, you will see the configuration provider screen. You click here, you just give a name and internet address. It can be .net or .com, anything name, and save it. When you save it and go back to the previous screen, you will see this configuration provider. Now you think of this checkbox. So it has to be come from this three dots and set active. When you set active, that means you are all good to do changes or create your own uh, scratch formula, scratch solution underneath of this reporting configurations. So this reporting configurations is all we have. This is the main menu where we create or develop our own ER based solutions. So this is the first screen, and the second screen is underneath of that means the electronic messages, which comes under text module. This is where it runs, and the setup, we do it underneath of setup and the electronic messages. So now when I spoke of the configuration, that how did I do it, the first thing I have chosen the message statuses. So these message statuses is one of the unique thing. It runs based on that. Let's say that we have an enum value. So similar way that we create these statuses, whenever it is getting executed with a new action, it updates with a new status. So that is one of the identification that it is when it ran successfully or it gives us error. So this is the first screen. The second screen underneath of the same is additional fields. So where we have created API key and we have given this key. So this key basically and unique when you log into that website that I will share later on with in this PPT. So when you log in, so you will get a unique API key. So because this is a static value, so I have to use it. So this functionality was here. So given the name and just paste it here. The third screen is our web service settings, which is the uh, main kitchen for our APIs that we have to configure here. The first of all, the name. I have just given us abstract email validation and the API. So API I have given here, and the supporting API request, which is basically we are consuming it with, we are basically getting the information, fetching the information from the API side. So the request method has to be get here. Then we have accept here, then forward slash. Then we have the successful response code. Depending upon if you are working on a different request that you have a request headers, you can also fetch from here. It is directly connected with the electronic reporting. You can see that if I just click on the drop down, you will see multiple things from the format to bind from electronic reporting. So if you have a solution, you can directly do it. One of the example I would give you is e-invoice for India. That if you are just doing from India, so you can have a look. It's available on the uh, MS Learn. So it has been given there. So when you import that, you will have the idea that how does it do it. Then the content type we don't need it. Then except coding, we don't need it here. So this is all we just need to have because we are getting it. And if you have something, let's say the token, you wanted to do it. So the web application, you have to configure it and you can use it also. This is for the actions side that if you wanted to have a token, so this can be configured based on that. So token will be getting it here and it will be configured on the same screen, web service setting. Then we have the message processing actions. So on the screen earlier, what we have created the messages has to be configured and binded. So likewise, I have created the first message. It was a new message, and action I have prepared here is create message. So in this create message, when I clicked here, so result message here. So what is result status here? The result status is basically when this action will be executed, the status will be updated as new message. Similar way, the second reporting action, message processing action I've prepared here is processed. So in this process, I have taken the web service. So in this web service, when I just selected it, it was giving me all these options. Like likewise, that I've selected my electronic reporting format. I have the web service basically, which we have just configured in web service settings. That is here, and the file name, the response.txt, that or the file. So let's say that we are sending it something. Now we are getting it, so it can be post when the request method. It can be post, it can be put. So in that case, if this is post, so that we are sending somewhere, so you can write down the name here. So it can be that way. So initial status. Now, when this will run and it will finds out that what it has to be, so it is a gateway. It will see okay that initial status has to be the message status new message. Then it will go and check okay the second has to be mechanism work like this. And when it runs with all of these no error, so if there will be no error, it will update as process. And if it see that there are some processing errors during the uh, processing, so it will update as processing error as a technical error. Third thing and the final thing of mechanism, we have electronic message processing. So using upon all of the setups, we have to configure it here. So this is the action, this is the process, and the message status have already been embedded. So first we have to add the create message. As you can see that we have action type here and result status. Similar way, we have processed and web service type of the action. We have initial message and the process. So if you have a very big integration where you have the export and import both of the documentation both ways, inbound and outbound. So you can cross check either ways that in the metrics that result status should match the initial status of down one. So this is the all about the configuration. And if we talk about the electronic reporting thing, that what we have done it in underneath of this. So first of all, we prepared as per the hierarchy, we have prepared the data model. The data model, how would you recognize that is a data model not? So when you click on one of the component here, you will see the configuration component. You click here, you'll see the data model type. You can directly click here and jump directly into inside. This is one case. Second, you can directly know that what is the architecture that you created. You click here and they go to design. So first of all, we prepare a route. I just given a name of get method, and then I just added two things because we have two things to fetch from the API side. There can be multiple for in your case. So API key and email. I think I mentioned the API key. I have added in an additional one. So I have given the static key my there. So it will be embedded and mapped with the same table. Once that be done, you just save it. Don't forget to save it and come outside, and then again just you have to mark as complete. If you don't do it, it will not be published. So I was talking about the versioning. So this is one of the beauty that if I have to make any changes, so there will be another version. So anytime I have to go back, I just need to click here and just click on the get this version. I'll be able to use it. Second part is model mapping, where it is exposed to our database. And I was talking about the direction. It is to model, that means it is for export. If it is to destination, that means it is for import. Now we have multiple mappings here and the validation. You can also write down the validation. But in this case, we have not used the validation. What we have prepared, first of all, we have added the user input parameters, which is nothing but the parameters that we have going to put manually. Uh, if you are going to work from the X++ and you have created the contract mechanism, so this would not be useful for that. Uh, in the contract, you have to add your class as an object, and that object has to be given some name, and that name has to be passed in X++ code, and that will be used as a parameter. And second thing that we have added the parameters here. Parameters we can see that is the message ID. So in order to use the electronic message, it is necessary to have the message ID. So if I added the message ID, you can see I've given the name message ID, and the EDT you can use from here. EDT is electronic message ID. Secondly, I added some empty container. So I have added calculated fields. You can see if you wanted to do the segregation as per the component, as per the object, you can just click on group view. You will be able to see that which is the empty container. That means it is under the root, and that means it is created directly, not using the containers. And these are created underneath of container. This is the container name. That is why it is showing the name. Again, the user input parameter, it is coming by its object type. So first of all, I have added the tables. I created this empty, I added this container, and then starting to do the tables. So there are two things here. One is do not focus on this retail part, otherwise you won't be able to find those correct tables. So you have to just focus on the D365 Dynamics 364 operations, and here are a number of classifications of your object, like class, enumeration, number sequence, object, table, and table records. Class is the same as that the public class you have to, or you want to add, and similar way there can be static method, there can be the parametric method that you wanted to pass, and based on that you will pull some value and bind it. Enumeration the same as enum. Number sequence, that if you know the number sequence ID from the setup, you can add it. And there is another thing that in the code, there is a uh, function which is called numseq value. So that means you have to pass your parameters method in order to create new. This is object to use for your object, let's say, so a parametric way, like say contract and the SSRS contract or other one. So in this case, the parameters will be used. The table will give you single type record. There is a record and record list. Record list means the table records as the table. There would be multiple records in the table. And this is for the single type. If you wanted to use it, you can use to pass the parameters. So I've used this table records. Underneath of these records, I've added multiple tables. One of the tables is master table, which is the electronic messages. Additional table where I have created my field, the API key, the EM additional fields, and the processing, electronic message processing, where I've used and saved my value, the API key, which is the uh, EM messages additional fields. Last but not the least, to get the email logistic electronic address. To get the right information from the logistic electronic address. Logistic electronic address is the master of electronic information, some same as phone, email, contact information. There is another table if you wanted to fetch for the global address, that is the logistic postal address. So this enumeration I have added, and I have all the information here as in the standard. Now where I have wrote down my logic. So these are the calculated fields. So first of all, I've created my electronic message record, the parameter based on the parameter. You can see edit formula, edit and edit formula. So there are some functions which are being used first or null. That means it will fetch only first record, or there can be null, then filter. There are two functions to fetch the record, either filter or where. Filter is faster than where basically works on the database side, so it is quite slow on that. So as Microsoft recommended that we should use the filter. The basically context and syntax of using the filter, you can just simply click here and press Control plus Shift. So you will see that what is it, control after pressing the Control plus Shift, that you need to apply the list, as in the parameter list. What is list? List is nothing but that record list, the table record which you have added. So this is our record list, and then condition. So condition, we have given that there is the message ID underneath of this table and the parameter which we have added. So you can just simply go and select it and click on anything here, add to data source, and it will come to here and you will check it, save. If the data like the string in return, or let's say that is the logic based on date or some if and else, you can click on test and you will be able to test it in the right way on the same moment. But if it is returning something list, because filter is returning a list, so you can't be able to test it here. Similar way, we have another calculated fields. So we have added a API key. So based on the table, we have added that this field and that additional field that we have given the hard-coded value here, that this is the name of that, so that it will be identify the right field there. And after that, we have added our email address. Email address is based on first and null, our table, and there is an and value basically because there are multiple logics to be defined. So there is and or. You will be able to find moreover functions are here. And when you click on any one of it, you will be able to see a link. If you click on that, it will populate and it will directly open the MS Learn option where you can see the examples. So I have just entered this logic as per the enumeration, and that is email, and the locator which is having the right value is not equal to blank. This is not equal to, and this is equal to. So after that, I have prepared one more value here. Just a sec. Uh, Calculated fields underneath of this, I have prepared one more value. Yeah. So underneath of electronic message record, I have, if you wanted to see that what is record type or what is the data type, you click on the simply show details. So it will give you Boolean type or everything so far. If it is any enumeration related to that field, it will also show like this. So I have added one container underneath of this, and under this container, the API key value here that I have attached to it, and how I did it. You can see the logic. See, it is first and null again that I'm picking the first record, and I'm passing some refrec ID based on the relationships, and I'm also passing the above key, the rec ID, which is the another calculated field. Calculated field is nothing but the global variable similar to that. So this is all, and after that I have binded it. You can see the binded that there is a binding button, and you can also edit it and unbind it as per that. Once you save it, once you're done with it, just save it, go back and mark as saved. The last but not the least, to get the format, this is all that we had. And the format, when you create a format, you will be getting multiple options. Let's say that if I create a new format here and click on format, I have to give the name. I have to select the format type here: Excel, JSON, PDF, text, Word, and XML. And the data model version, basically what we have prepared, and the definition. Definition is same as the get method we have created underneath of data model. So the format, if you go to direct design, we have just created URL path, which supposed to be shared in the actions web service section. So this was mapped there, and the mapping we just directly did it. We just wrote down a concatenate one of the formulas, and we just added the API key and the value and the email and the value, whatever it is going to pick it. Now, when everything so far is done, we just completed. We go to text module and try to run it. So this is here. It can be run directly from here, or it can be done manually from these buttons, as I specified earlier. So let's say if I click here, so it will basically run both of it. Now this is my third record, which has been updated message status as process, which is mean it is the process. So two of these action has ran what we configured. Now we can see, if I click here, you can see you have to click here in order to see the attachment, which is internally connected. That so the response.txt I have configured, it has come, and I can see the preview. So there is a catch with the preview, that you can see the preview in dev environment, but not in the second or third, that means tier 2, tier 3. It is a bug from MS, hasn't been fixed from years. So as you can see that email, it has been fetched, the first one. It is purchasing@adventureservices.com something, and it says undeliverable. But my email ID has been binded with that, and with as per that, I have shared my uh, API key. So if we have to look at that, I have open here the sysstable browser with a logistic electronic address. So if I go here and see as per our type, let's say email. So the first email it has come is, so it has picked the first as in there. If I change it, let's say if I would change it, and save it, and I will go back here, let's say, and I will run again. So it has run. We have received the value. And if we go back and see the preview, see, it is says deliverable. So my email ID has been signed up there. So it says that it's deliverable. So as per that, we can cross check it. So this is all that I think all about the demo. And about the security part, that where I kept this the value of my API key. So underneath of setup, same electronic message processing. If you just scroll down a bit, these are the another table which have my API key and my default value. Similar way I spoke of security roles, so you can also apply the security roles. So security role information, I think there is electronic operators, electronic reporting operator, sort of that, or electronic messages operator. You'll have a look. So you need to assign to your users, and similar way you have to add it. Whosoever the user having the same access will be able to see it and use it. This is all from the demo site. As I spoke of, these are the screens which I have configured. As per your out of the box thinking, you can configure it. And ER configuration, we just spoke of that. I just prepared the whole scratch information. And for the learning perspective, you can go and see these links, one of the electronic reporting basics and electronic messages. For the free API, I've used the abstract.com and API email validation tester. If you're logging there, you will be able to see and what I was talking about the static key. So it is unique as per the email ID. Summary. So the government compliance reporting and others, tax authority, bank payments, customer invoicing, EDI 810, 857 and more, vendors, electronic invoicing payments, 850, EDI 861, localization, global engine, everything can be done, but it's all about the out of the box thinking. Thank you. So Umesh, all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhruv. It was a very wonderful session. And the videos will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. Okay, so before we end up the session completely, we will just pick up the question answer sessions through. Most of them are answered by Deepak, but we'll go one by one. Yeah, over to Deepak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks so much, Dhruv. For personally, I think there's a lot of thing interestingly coming in FNO, right? I never tried this before. So yeah, for sure, something for me personally. Hi, Ajit sir.
Hey
Hi,
guys,
Ajit.
Yeah, we
hey,
have
nice
Beliru
session, Dhruv.
also.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Great. So the questions, okay. Just going through the chat. Give me a second. Okay, we have a questions from Akash that says is data model necessary like to the data model with any integration?
Yeah, so basically that is one of the architecture. So these are the three architecture. First is the data model, then model mapping, then the format. Without these, we can't proceed.
Okay. The second question was more like, we can pass the messages from one application to another to FNO, right? Can we also pass the attachments in a similar way?
Yeah, we can do it. So if you just go on MSLAN, you will be able to find one event. So on that, it is an attaching event that some when the document management is getting attached to it. So you can fetch the attachment and you can, as per your code, you can directly send to blob storage. You can directly send to external web services. It is all yours logic.
Okay, and third was just I put a comment, just need to validate with you through. So I believe when we configure our ER reporting, right, I can
Mm-hmm.
export that and upload on somehow on LCS. From there, it can be configured or imported to other systems.
I would rather say that use the RCS, but RCS is going to be deprecated by August 1st. But we have a new solution from 10.039. It is Globalization Studio. So use that one. I think you'll be able to see it. It is a connected services. Once you have to connect it, you can do it, and you will directly push to different environments as per your configuration. Or either you can manually export and import. That also your that you call.
right. Yeah, yeah. I think Dhruv is correct because RCS is about to get deprecated. So look
Correct.
at the globalization studio, and there is also a Git integration available for storing your electronic reporting configuration. So you can
Yeah.
store it in Git and create your own pipeline to push it forward. Yeah.
Great. We have another question. What is the trigger point for executing send or receive files?
See, it depending upon the action. So it basically the trigger point is action I spoke of. So there is if you just go in electronic reporting message processing actions, if you click new, you'll be able to see the action drop down. And there are much more to learn in electronic message functionality on MSLearn. You can go and have a look on that.
Maybe the last question we have, can we bring confidentiality to PO? For example, we don't want certain cost center to view PO to other cost center.
See that case is of security, I believe.
Mhm.
That if you wanted to proceed with it. But if we spoke of that one cost center to different one, I think it's all about customization mix of X++ and electronic reporting.
I think it's more of a candidate for configuring XDS policies. So
Mhm.
you
Correct.
configure an XDS policy, create
Policies.
your own query.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
But
Correct.
but doing it on financial dimension can be a little bit tricky. Yeah.
Correct.
So I believe that's all we have from questions.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think there were a couple of hand raise also. So in case anyone wants to mute themselves, they can definitely do that. I have enabled all the mics and videos in case you want to go yourself on the video. You're welcome. Okay, so
Yes, brother, in dimensions are
They are.
actually.
So if no questions are there, I would like to special thanks to Udit and team and for for the machine for the VM to have me trying all this. I would like to thank you, Atish Shunne, for that. Thank you, Atul.
Great. Thank you so much,
Good.
Dhruv. Again, it's really a wonderful session, and it's glad to see how things are coming up. In new things are coming up, so keep our mind engaging. So it was really brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank
you,
you.
Bolero.
Right.
Thank you,
Thanks, Dhruv,
guys.
for the
Yeah,
wonderful presentation. Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you,
Thanks
guys.
everyone for the opportunity. Thank you. Take care.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
guys, please
Yeah. Bye.
subscribe on those YouTube channels, LinkedIn and all, and keep dropping your comments, what topics you want us to cover in the next session. And this video will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. I know someone asked, Nikita asked about a YouTube channel, and I'll share that in chat, Nikita.
Yep.
Great.
Right. Enjoy the
Thanks,
weekend.
everyone. Enjoy your
See ya.
weekend
Thanks everyone.
and
Yeah.
happy Holi
Take
to
care. Bye.
everyone.
Happy Holi. Take
Happy.
care. Bye.